Welcome back to Grim Rules. What is that? What? Oh. Oh. Whoa. Grimheads, if you haven't guessed by now or read the title of the video, yes, today we're talking about the newly released Space Wolves Army box set. Now, I have a confession to make. I used to think Space Wolves were lame, like really lame, like the really big fumble on Games Workshop's part. But I saw the new models that they were working with the line refresh, and I bought in. I kind of started to get it. I kind of got less wolf hybrid looking guys and more kind of leaning into the Viking, Asgard, runic aesthetic that kind of I typically really think is dope. I also thought that the color scheme of that kind of pale soft blue and yellow was always a little lame, and I never really got Viking from that, when there's clearly huge inspiration. And I know those guys from the UK clearly don't know ball that make these guys in the Minnesota Vikings. The purple, the gold, whatever their other colors are, look it up. And I think that could be a really cool Space Marine chapter with the purple and gold leading forward. And for us in the bald eagle part of the world, the United States, we would really get the purple gold right away and get Viking. And now finally, there is a Space Marine. Now finally, there is a Space Marine chapter that I feel more fits something like the Space Wolves, with more of the wolves being more of a secondary aesthetic and more or less the driving aesthetic. And the one model that really pulled me into this was the Wolf Priest. I thought the bald head with the beard, I related very hard to him. I thought he was cool. He had a very cool, just simple pose. With all that being said, let's get the Wolf Priest based up, primed up, and ready to cook up for the full moon. Starting out our Wolf Priest, we're actually going to be using some Army Painter speed paints. This Purple Storm is pretty awesome. It gives a nice base coat. I like using contrast paints just kind of as a nice base coat. I usually paint pretty hard over them, but it just kind of gives me a set of rules and guidelines and helps you kind of see certain details that I want to keep purple or whatever the base coat color is and what I don't. It just kind of gives me a nice foundation to kind of work up from. And I know in the last video I said Army Painters are my least favorite out of the paints, but every paint and tool has some sort of usability in your lineup. And I don't really mind the speed paint range. I just got some of them. The more problem I have is with their normal acrylic paints. Next up, we're going to combine Amethyst Rain with Hexed Violet to kind of build up some now highlights up. I got a bunch of these too thin coats paints that I've been trying out, and I gotta say they work really, really, really well. It's kind of what I wanted and hoped for from Vallejo. Thank you to the commenter who said that and corrected me. And I got a bunch of them. I'm gonna try to get a starter set of some kind here soon to actually do a full review on the too thin coats. From there, I just go into pure Hexed Violet and just kind of been building up highlights slowly but surely. You can kind of see I'm already pretty much covering up the full contrast paint that I put underneath, but it does give me also kind of some wiggle room in case I'm not perfect on my application. I got a little bit of a shaky hand and my brushes aren't great, so it's kind of tough for me sometimes to get perfectly accurate, nor do I really want to. This is a hobby for me and it's fun, and I'm not trying to paint competition level style painting. I'm just kind of having fun with it and making some really, really cool dudes to put on the tabletop and show off and flex on social media and to my boys. So if you're expecting that here, that ain't what you're getting. You're getting kind of some fun, achievable levels of paint in just a couple hours. So you can see I'm just slowly building up, getting my highlight layer shorter, or smaller and smaller. And then Duncan Rhodes and the Tooth and Coats line, they make pre-made glazes. So I thought this would be a perfect time to try these out. I've kind of always struggled with glazing and glazing up stuff, and I want to try that non-metallic metal practice maybe in the next video or the next couple videos, just to practice glazing. But as far as like a pre-made glaze that I can just kind of slap on and call a day, this stuff is perfect. It's great consistency right out of the bottle. I don't have to thin it additionally if I want to. It flows on super well, and you can see it really helped even out those tones pretty well. And then I kind of go back in and I kind of lost some of those higher edged highlights, so I just kind of go in and reapply some of those. I do go back a couple times off camera and just apply a couple more coats of the glaze and kind of even out those tones a little more. I do want to do some practice with more mid-tone and highlight glazes as well to kind of even out those tones. Next up is this Zealot Yellow from Army Painter's Speed Paint, and like I said, I'm rolling with the Minnesota Vikings color theme, and they have like a nice golden yellow, and this Zealot Yellow is pretty nice. I might try some other yellow paints in the future, some other yellow contrasts, maybe check out some Citadel ones, but as far as they go, I don't think this one's bad at all. It's just maybe I wanted something a little more richer in tone compared to the purple, which I think is exactly what I was looking for right out of the bottle. So I do go back with this AK Volcanic Yellow, one of my favorite yellows, and I start with just kind of edge highlighting, and I don't really like the yellow that's on there right now. So I start putting on a little edge highlight, and then I basically thin it down and put on, basically just cover up fully the contrast paint I put in. You can see I'm just kind of, as I'm working, I'm like, I don't really like how that looks, so I'm basically just going to cover up fully the contrast that I put on there, which I think still, like I was saying earlier, just putting a contrast down as a base gives me some kind of flexibility and wiggle room. So even if I'm not getting great coverage back over with this Volcanic Yellow, I still have a nice base layer of the contrast underneath. I added a little bit of white to Volcanic Yellow, and now I'm kind of going back and doing what I was originally planning on doing. And I think I made the right call putting that. It's a little, you can see it's just a little richer, a little deeper gold that I'm looking for in my yellows. And yellow's a hard color to work with. I don't do a lot with yellow. Usually I go from orange or red and then just kind of use a yellow as an edge highlight. So this is good practice for me. Just practicing with more yellows as the pure base. I probably should have started with maybe an orange base tone and then worked my way up to yellow. I think if I do capes in the future, there's a bunch of these guys have capes, so don't worry. I'm going to get plenty of practice in that regard. But I think that would have made the cape look a little more richer, in my opinion, than what I have here. It looks a little flat and less dynamic that I was hoping for, like a golden yellow. But you'll see here after I'm done edge highlighting and just picking up the folds and kind of building up some dynamic ranges, how I'm going to actually kind of cure that with a little glaze, if you will. Let's say Duncan Rhodes has more than just purple. They also have orange glaze. So you can see here, fresh out of the bottle, that's a little orange for me, but if I added just a little bit of water, you can see that lightened it up just enough, kind of the perfect amount that I was looking for. And then I start globbing that on, just little by little, building up kind of the tone I want on there. And you can see that even helped kind of even out the tones from the contrast, the Zealot Yellow to the AK Volcanic Yellow as well. But it kind of, almost, I'm treating it more as a wash and a stain rather than kind of like a glaze. I also realized I forgot to do the backpack, so you skipped 15 minutes of me building up the backpack. Next up, I'm using this Too Thin Coats boar hide, which might be like one of my new favorite versatile paints for leather, hair, anything that's kind of like wants a brownish red as a base coat. This thing is super versatile as far as just getting a nice reddish brown warm tone on a character. And you can see here I'm even using it to kind of, I like to usually do like a more purpley red, but I decided to try putting it even as like his face base tone here. But you can see I use this on a lot of this model. I put it on even his little accessories here, which you'll see just putting on a nice thin down amount of this gives it almost like a rich leathery look. And you'll see once I start highlighting up on the actual fur part, it almost gives it like a salmon-y kind of color, which gives it a completely different look than the flat tones compared to what you'll see at the end result here. From his gun holder and the fur, they almost look like they're completely different textures and colors. So this paint, if you're looking for like just a catch-all brownish red paint that's going to do a lot for you as far as leather, fur, hair, anything, this boar's hide by Two Thin Coats, Duncan Rhodes, perfect. This is like, I'm going to have to get a couple more bottles of this because I don't know how I'm going to go back to any other brownish red. So you can see I'm just kind of slowly highlighting, same idea with the purple, just getting thinner and thinner and lighter as I go on, just building up some nice texture. And then I also grab a little bit of Skeleton Horde contrast paint on his little, I don't know what you call these, scrolls. They're maybe kind of purity seals. I'm sure there's a name for these. I haven't read the full codex that has came with this yet. So maybe there's probably something in there that explains it. Then from here, he had some accessories I forgot, so I just put a little quick slap of yellow on there just to differentiate them. And now I'm building up skin tones similar to how I did in the Blood and Zeal box set. And you can watch that video in the top right now, or in the description. I'm not sure where it shows up when you're watching on TV. Hopefully somewhere accessible. But you can see here, I actually combined AK's decomposed flesh. I forgot to flash it on the screen, and I mixed it with white, the boar's hide, and the decomposed flesh, and that kind of gives me a nice buildup of flesh tones that I'm looking for, and really lets me build up that bald dome on that boy. We want a nice shiny dome. That's fresh shaven right there. Okay, so that's as a bald man myself, majority of the time, you know, that thing's gotta be glistening in the sun. All right, buddy. I am still working on kind of perfecting how to do faces. I'm getting slowly but surely better in this box set. If you want to practice faces, you're gonna have fun with this one. All right, the face sculpts on the Space Wolves box set is incredible, and you're hard pressed to not want to use them. They all have fun hair, fun facial expressions, and usually I avoid doing faces, but these guys' faces are just too fun to not want to put on every model. There's so much personality with each one. I then tackle it with some Reichland Flesh Shade, very thin down, to just kind of bring some warmth back in his face. And then I jump on to the metallics. I usually save the metallics for near the end. And I got this Dwarven Metal, I think is what it was called. Let me look quick. Dwarven Iron, excuse me, from Two Thin Coats, Duncan Rhodes. And I figured that would be a nice complement, a more dark metal. I usually use that filigree silver in a lot of my stuff. I like the lighter metal, but I was thinking this one, let's go with a little more irony. That feels more Viking-y. I don't know why. It does. The dark metal with the dark purple and then the pop of yellow, it just felt like, you know, there'd be a lot of contrast and those yellows would pop even more, and I think it was the right choice. Speak of the devil, we got a little filigree silver that I use just kind of as a hedge highlight, just to kind of bring up some contrast and dynamics within the metal. It was kind of getting lost in the sea of purple, so I wanted to just give that a little more edge highlight to make those pop off the purple. I also realized here I forgot the bone part, so I just went back with Skeleton Horde, the perfect kind of bone, decaying bone, yellowy, gross look, just in one quick coat. I don't highlight or do anything else. Next up is a technical paint, this Tesseract Glow from Citadel. It's awesome. It really makes things look like they're glowing, and with this being a priest and he's got mystical magic something, I don't know, I wanted something other than purple and yellow, and I thought this lime green would be a nice complement to that, and you can really see how much it looks like it just glows. On his pauldrons, I do make a little bit of a mistake here. I do the pauldron in black, and then I got some of this Turbo Dork paint It's called Motherload. I got like 5 of them. All of them say to use on black. This one says to use on white. And I just didn't read it, I guess. I just assumed that it would also work on black. So if you do get the Motherload, make sure you put it on white for the proper effect, or you're going to be putting 6 or 7 coats on, which is what I did. After stressfully putting on the eyes, very carefully, just kind of dotting them and letting the natural vibration of my hand go, and redoing it 6 or 7 times off camera, this was the best result I got. I need to work on eyes, and that's, like I said, this box set, perfect. Next up, I'm going to do some panel lining, and what that is you get some white oil paint, thin it down a ton with some paint thinner, and then get a crappy old brush you don't care about, hopefully with a better tip than what I was using here. You can kind of see when you press it down, it's going to flow in the recesses. I needed a little bit of a tighter tip, probably for the effect I was going for. That's good practice. A lot of these guys have these things. You can see I'm getting it here. Look at that. Whoa, that's cool. That's what I was hoping for. Now it kind of falls apart near the end, but you saw it for a second there. It really worked. And that's just going to give me a nice base coat to put down some more Tesseract glow, really thin down on top of it. You can see right there, I did not get it on camera, but all I did was just kind of really thin down, put it on top, and that Tesseract glow flowed in there, and it really looks like it's glowing. Something that would be really hard and tedious to do, just kind of using a normal brush technique with acrylics. I'm trying something different on the bases. I got some of this Vallejo diorama texture paste, and I got this white kind of concrete city one. It acts no different than any Citadel texture paint. This one does apply really easy, and it smells really good. It smells like soap. But this requires it to sit for, I left it overnight to dry just to make sure it was really dry, because I knew I was going to be putting some other effects and stuff on it, and I did not want it to move at all. Well, before I left it for the night, I put a little quick and dirty little Nuln Oil wash, not too much, just enough to kind of get into some of the recesses and whatnot, and then we wait overnight. I decided that the front was a little boring, and the green kind of felt like a sore thumb, so I made his little chest pieces glow the same with that Tesseract glow, and then I applied a little edge highlight on yellow edge on, I don't know what you'd call that, the edges of his little metal tummy piece. I don't know, I'm sure there's a name for it. Someone can tell me in the comments. And I think that was the right choice. It just kind of makes this guy pop. And then I made his little he's got little things on his forearm. Those look like they should have been metal, so I just went back with that dwarven iron and made those the dark metal, just to kind of break up all that monotonous purple. And I definitely think that was the right choice too. I think that helps build up some contrast, and it looks sweet. Just applying the paints here, cleaning it up, getting all those fun little details that I kind of felt like I missed. And then I'm going to apply some more kind of basing materials. And before you guys say anything in the reveal of the base, I at least tried to do something different in this video. Don't worry, the Geek Gaming Scenics are going to make an appearance here. But it didn't matter. You can see I tried to apply glue just kind of sporadically throughout, and then I dunked the whole thing in there thinking it would just stick to the parts that were glued on. It stuck to like the whole base. It doesn't look any different, so I tried. Maybe next time I'll have to sprinkle it on or something. Now I'm going to try the bane of my existence, some decals. I hate decals, or transfers, excuse me. I hate transfers with all my being. I struggle with them so hard. All you do is cut them out and you get them a little wet, and then I tried to pick it up and it was already separating, so I don't know what I was trying to do. And then I tried to get it on there, and after struggling for like 3 minutes, it felt like, it was probably like a minute, but like panicking, struggling, because I don't like cutting these things out. I don't like messing with them. I hate them so much. Whoop, look at that. I was like, oh my God, I ruined it. I have to recut this stupid thing out. I ruined it. After sliding it around, I finally got it on, and then just using a wet brush, this is just water, nothing crazy, just kind of getting it in the perfect position. I hate transfers. It doesn't click with me. I hate working with them. And then I applied some matte varnish, the AK's matte, if you want to know the specific one I use, just to kind of hide the edges. You can kind of see the glossy edges. That just helps kind of lock it in and blend it in. And there you have it. One finished little Space Priest looking guy. Not looking, it is. I did kind of struggle a little bit with the white oil panel lining. I'm trying to get better at it, and these guys, the other models, are perfect for that. They have all these little kind of crevices, and I think the final effect works. It glows well. The cape, I kind of fumbled on a little hard. I might clean that up here in a little while, but everything else, I mean, I love this guy. With all that being said, let's get into a quick final look at our Wolf Priest. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like the color scheme, if not, if you guys want me to paint up any more of these Space Wolf guys. I've only painted up a couple of them, as you saw in the reveal, and I'd love to kind of go through and do kind of a full process and maybe do a full army or close to it army painting video. I typically like to stick to just one guy. It's what lets me get videos done, and I paint most of them off camera. But if you guys want to see more of the Space Wolves, let me know. Or if you're interested in any Dark Angels, how I paint them, I really have a recipe down that I love for the Dark Angels. Or maybe I could just do both. Maybe I'll just go through and show off all my painted minis. I do most of my painting off camera. No, it's surprising. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What you think of Space Wolves. Space Wolves. If you've always liked them, if you hate them now, if you love them, what your chapter you're running with for Space Marines, because they are the most popular. And I will catch you guys next time on Grim Rolls.